Your 30s don't arrive slowly. They hit you all at once. One moment, you're excited about finally earning real money, and the next, you're dealing with bills you didn't fully think through. A mortgage, a car payment, rising living costs, and a retirement account you keep telling yourself you'll start soon. Sound familiar? Here's the part most people don't talk about. Your 20s are about experimenting, trying things, figuring life out. But your 30s, that's when everything starts to count. The decisions you make during this decade will either build your future or quietly work against it. And if you ignore it now, you'll end up trying to catch up later, when it's much harder. So, in this video, I'm going to walk you through the key financial milestones you should be focusing on in your 30s, so you can stop feeling stuck and start moving forward with purpose. Let's start with the most overlooked one, and honestly, one of the most important. Debt. Not the kind people like to debate about, but the kind that slowly drains your progress. If you're serious about building wealth, this needs to be handled early, because every dollar going toward high-interest debt is a dollar that's not working for you. Credit cards, loans, payments you've gotten used to, they might feel normal, but they're holding you back more than you think. I know what you're probably thinking. That sounds great, but it's not realistic. And I get it. For a lot of people, debt feels normal. But here's why this matters so much, especially in your 30s. This is your prime earning window, the years where your income is finally starting to grow and your opportunities expand. And the last thing you want during this phase is debt quietly holding you back, because it doesn't just sit there. It takes a piece of everything you earn before that money has a chance to actually work for you. Think about it this way. Every monthly payment you're making is money that could have been invested, could have been growing, could have been building your future, but instead, it's going somewhere else. And over time, that gap becomes massive. But here's something people often overlook. Debt isn't just financial, it's mental. It creates pressure, it limits your options, and it forces you to make decisions from a place of stress, instead of control. That's why paying it off isn't just about numbers, it's about freedom. Because the moment you clear your debt, your income finally starts working for you. Not the bank, not the lender, you. And that's a powerful shift. So before anything else, that's where you start. Now, once that's handled, the next step becomes just as important. Your credit score. Now, let's talk about the next milestone. Your credit score, and not just good, I'm talking about excellent. Because there's a big difference between average and top tier. Most people don't realize this, but your credit score can quietly cost you tens of thousands of dollars over time. Not all at once, but slowly, through higher interest rates. And this matters most when you make bigger financial moves, like buying a home. Because unless you're paying fully in cash, your credit score directly affects how expensive that decision becomes. A stronger score means better terms, lower interest, and more money staying in your pocket. A weaker score, you end up paying more for the exact same asset. And that difference adds up more than most people expect. We're talking about the same house, the same loan, the same time frame, but a completely different total cost. And that gap, it adds up fast. Over time, it can turn into tens of thousands of dollars, just from a slightly worse rate. And what's surprising is how easy it is to damage your score. Something as simple as one missed payment can set you back significantly. And the effects don't disappear overnight. They can follow you for years. But here's the good news. This is one of the few areas in personal finance that's almost entirely in your control. Pay your bills on time, keep your usage low, and avoid unnecessary changes unless there's a clear reason. It's simple, but not always easy. And the people who stay consistent here are the ones who benefit the most later on. Now, this brings us to the next milestone. Because once your foundation is stable, you need something else, a plan. This is where most people start guessing. They're earning money, paying bills, maybe investing a little, but there's no real direction. And in your 30s, that becomes a problem, because now you're juggling multiple priorities at once. Without a clear structure, it's easy to feel like you're moving, but not actually progressing. Without a clear plan, managing money can feel chaotic. You solve one problem, and suddenly another one appears. And over time, that turns into frustration. That's why you need a simple framework, something you can rely on, instead of guessing. Here's one way to think about it. Break your financial life into a few core areas. First, budgeting and saving. You need clarity, not rough estimates, but real numbers. What's coming in, what's going out, and what you're actually keeping. Next, retirement planning. Not just checking your account occasionally, but understanding where you stand. Are you on track? And if not, what needs to change? Then comes tax awareness, making sure you're not overpaying, and using available strategies to keep more of what you earn. And finally, tracking your progress. Because building wealth is a long-term process, and without tracking, it's easy to lose direction. At this stage of life, things also start to get more complex. Multiple responsibilities, growing expenses, long-term decisions. And for some people, this is where getting professional guidance can actually make sense. Not because you can't do it yourself, but because clarity becomes more valuable as things grow. Which brings us to the next milestone, making sure your safety net is actually strong enough. At this point, things start getting more complex, and no simple system can fully handle everything. But here's the key idea. The plan itself matters less than actually having one, and sticking to it. Now, let's talk about the next two milestones, because they're closely connected: your emergency fund and your long-term savings. Let's start with the emergency fund. In your 20s, you might hear the standard advice: a few months of expenses. But in your 30s, that's usually not enough, because your responsibilities grow, your costs increase, and unexpected events become more expensive. So instead of thinking small, you need to think in terms of stability, a stronger buffer, something that can support you if things don't go as planned. Because at this stage of life, surprises aren't small anymore. They're bigger, more complex, and often more expensive. And here's the important part. An emergency fund isn't just protection, it's flexibility. It gives you options. It allows you to respond calmly, instead of reacting under pressure. And sometimes it even gives you the ability to take advantage of opportunities when they appear. So think of it not just as a safety net, but as a foundation that supports everything else you're building. When you can handle a financial setback without breaking your entire plan, everything changes. You make decisions with confidence. You sleep better, and you're able to take calculated risks, the kind that can actually move you forward. That's why your emergency fund should stay accessible, somewhere safe, but still earning something. Now, let's talk about the next piece: retirement. This is where time becomes your biggest advantage, because the earlier you build momentum, the easier everything becomes later. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency, regular contributions, steady progress, and letting time do the heavy lifting. And here's the part many people underestimate: compounding. Small amounts, invested consistently, can grow into something significant over time. But there's a catch. Time matters. Every year you delay makes the process harder. Not impossible, just more demanding. So instead of waiting for the perfect moment, focus on starting and staying consistent. One simple strategy that works surprisingly well is increasing your contributions whenever your income grows. That way, you build progress without feeling the change in your lifestyle. And over time, that difference becomes powerful. Now, this leads to the next milestone, one of the most important in this video, because it separates people who are building real wealth from those who are just getting by. As things start to pick up again, you naturally begin thinking about progress, moving forward, building something better, and sometimes that perspective makes you pause for a second and look at the bigger picture, not just your goals, but what you're actually building over time. And here's something a lot of people overlook. We spend time organizing our schedules, cleaning up our spaces, improving our routines, but rarely think about what would happen if something unexpected occurred. And that's where something like life insurance becomes important. Not because it's exciting, but because it protects what matters. That's also where today's sponsor comes in, Policy Genius. They're not an insurance company. They're a platform that helps you compare options from multiple providers in one place. So instead of guessing, you can actually see different policies, pricing, and coverage side by side. Their team walks you through the process, helps with the details, and makes everything a lot more straightforward. So if this is something you've been putting off, it might be a good time to at least look into it. I'll leave a link in the description where you can explore your options and see what fits your situation. Now, let's talk about one of the most important shifts: the difference between looking wealthy and actually building wealth. This is where lifestyle inflation comes in, and your 30s are the perfect time for this trap. Here's how it usually happens. Your income increases, and without realizing it, your expenses increase right along with it. What once felt more than enough suddenly doesn't feel like enough anymore. You upgrade your lifestyle, adjust your habits, and over time, your financial position stays exactly the same. More income, but no real progress. And this is more common than people think. There are plenty of high earners who still feel financially stuck, simply because their spending keeps expanding. And the problem isn't income, it's alignment. Because if your expenses grow at the same pace as your income, you're not actually moving forward. You're just maintaining a more expensive version of the same situation. Real progress comes from controlling that gap, letting your income grow, without letting your lifestyle absorb all of it. Because that difference, what you keep and invest, is what actually builds wealth. The good news is, this isn't about restriction. You don't need to stop enjoying your money. The key is structure, and more importantly, timing. Every time your income increases, you make a decision. Do you upgrade your lifestyle, or do you build your future? One of the simplest strategies is to automate that decision. Before your spending adjusts, redirect a portion of that increase into savings or investments. Because if you don't, your lifestyle will naturally expand to absorb it. And here's the advantage. When you do this early, you don't feel the difference. You're not losing anything. You're just building something quietly in the background. And over time, that gap between what you earn and what you spend becomes the foundation of your wealth. Now, let's move into the final group of milestones. These are the ones people don't talk about enough, but they matter more than most realize. The first of these is estate planning. And I know what you might be thinking. That's something for later. But if you have responsibilities, a family, assets, or people depending on you, this becomes relevant much earlier than expected. And it's not about planning for the worst. It's about making sure the people and things you care about are protected. Life doesn't always go as planned, and sometimes it throws situations you didn't expect. That's why planning ahead matters. Not out of fear, but out of responsibility. Because if something unexpected happens, decisions still need to be made about your finances, your assets, and the people who depend on you. Without a clear plan in place, those decisions may not be yours anymore. And that's exactly what estate planning is about. It's not complicated, and it doesn't have to be expensive. It starts with the basics, making sure everything is documented and clearly structured, because clarity now prevents confusion later. Now let's move to something that's often overlooked, but incredibly important: your health. And yes, this is a financial topic, because over time, your health directly affects your costs. The better you take care of yourself now, the fewer financial pressures you're likely to face later. small, consistent habits, better nutrition, regular movement, smarter daily choices. They don't just improve how you feel. They reduce long-term expenses in ways most people underestimate. And just like investing, the earlier you start, the bigger the impact over time. And this goes beyond just expenses. Your health also protects your ability to earn. The more consistent and capable you are, the more opportunities stay open to you, and your 30s are often the first time you start noticing that change. Your body isn't as forgiving anymore, which makes this the perfect time to build habits that actually last. Because what you build now becomes much harder to fix later. Now let's talk about the final milestone: planning for your children's future. Education costs have been rising steadily over time, and by the time your kids reach that stage, it's likely to be even higher. That's why starting early matters. Even small, consistent contributions can grow significantly over time. And more importantly, it gives you flexibility later. Instead of reacting under pressure, you're prepared. And that leads into the bigger picture. Because when you step back, all of these milestones connect. Your 30s aren't important because you have everything figured out. In most cases, you don't. They're important because of one thing you still have: time. And time is the one asset you can't recover once it's gone. Which means the goal isn't perfection, it's direction. Making consistent decisions, building strong habits, and giving yourself the best possible position for the future. Because small actions today become massive differences over time. The decisions you make in your 30s don't just affect the present. They shape everything that comes after. Over time, those decisions either start working for you or against you, and the difference becomes more noticeable with every passing year. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, simplify it. Focus on the foundation first. Eliminate unnecessary debt. Build a strong financial cushion. Once that's in place, start building forward. Consistent investing, controlled spending, clear direction, and then, over time, you layer in the rest. Protection, long-term planning, future-focused decisions. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to move in the right direction. Because the goal isn't to be perfect. It's to build something that lasts. And the earlier you take that seriously, the more options you'll have later. If this helped you see things more clearly, stick around. There's a lot more to build from here. Lately, I've also been paying more attention to my health, staying active, building better habits. Because over time, that matters more than we think. It's easy to overlook, but it plays a huge role in everything we've talked about. And if you want to go deeper into topics like this, not just theory, but actual structure and systems, I've put together a private space where we break all of this down in detail. Tools, frameworks, discussions, everything designed to help you apply what you're learning. If that sounds useful, you can check it out through the link below. And if you got value from this video, consider sticking around. There's a lot more to build from here. I'll see you in the next one.